Okay, alright. Jesus Christ. Thank you.
And there we go. The recording starts out with Brandon raging at Batman Arkham Origins.
Oops.
But greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renegade Operative, and we have a very special episode that we would like to bring to you today with the episodic discussion. This is all about Onimusha, our history with Onimusha, our experience with Onimusha, which is next to zero for Brandon and James. But personally, I'm a big Onimusha fan. I think that it's a great hack and slash, and given the recent news that Capcom might bring it back with the trademark, it's got us pretty excited for several reasons, and I would like to see what they could do with it in terms of the future. But we're going to get right into the topic, and we're going to just go around the table to Dom, and we're going to talk a little bit about his experience with the Onimusha series.
Yeah, I am a huge fan, and I could go on and on about this, so I'll try to keep this as brief as possible.
He doesn't shut up about it.
Yeah, so I've known about Onimusha just about as long as I've known about Devil May Cry, so that was like way back in 2001. I hadn't actually started playing them until right about 2009, though, but I've known about every single one of them. And for me personally, I always felt like Onimusha 2 was the best for a lot of its mechanics and features. It also had like a bond system where you basically would trade with certain characters and increase the bond between the main character and said character. And based on whether or not you were doing well in a particular boss fight or in a section, said character would come in and help you, which Dawn of Dreams had a quote-unquote buddy system, but it wasn't done very well in my opinion. It was more or less hand-holding, which is why I consider that particular game to be the worst, right next to Onimusha Soul, which is a card game, by the way. Also, there's Blade Warriors, which is a Smash Brothers clone, and a lot of people don't know about this one in particular, but Tactics on Game Boy Advance is an RPG.
I've never heard of Tactics. This is my first time hearing about that in Soul, actually.
Oh, and there's also Genma, which is the Xbox version of the original Onimusha Warlords. Great Xbox game. I love it. The difficulty is up there, and just the new content just make the experience so much better. But yeah, that's my experience with Onimusha.
Alright, so with that being
Oh,
said,
can I go next a little bit? I have a small history on Onimusha.
alright, Mr. Brandon, what do you have to say about your history with Onimusha?
Well, potentially, and kind of ironically, my first game could have been Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, which is, according to Dom and Ren, it's the worst game of the main four of the series. And so I'm like, no, I thought about picking up a GameStop, but instead I picked up Devil May Cry 5th Anniversary Collection.
Well,
Nice.
speaking of Devil
Is that
May
a good
Cry,
choice?
speaking of Devil May Cry, like I said, there's some interesting history behind Onimusha, given that there was a particular sword glitch that lifts enemies into the air, and apparently this inspired Devil May Cry, along with like numerous references. I think that Resident Evil also inspired it too, with the main character Dante looking like Leon.
Yeah, if you don't mind me describing that whole history to anyone who's not familiar with it.
Oh, not a problem. It's best to make the episode diverse.
Yeah, so Onimusha originally started as a Resident Evil game called Sengoku Resident Evil, or Sengoku Biohazard. Basically, it was supposed to be a Resident Evil game in feudal era Japan. They deemed it too different at the time, so they changed it to Onimusha. This was while it was still a PlayStation 1 game. It was going to be a late PS1 game, but then PlayStation 2 got announced, and they decided to port over Onimusha to PlayStation 2, which is part of the reason why it's so short. Now, sometime during its development, they discovered a glitch which ended up inspiring some of the combat in Devil May Cry. Now, for those of you that know how Devil May Cry started, it was basically Resident Evil 4, which is why Dante and Leon share the same character model. But given that Resident Evil 4 at the time, when it was considered 3.5, was different, they deemed that as Devil May Cry, and that's how they're all kind of connected.
Yep. So there's
Everyone's flagship.
one big interconnected history, and that is personally like I find that personally awesome, the way everything panned out and it got more diverse and turned into its own thing as the series started to progress with each iteration of its own franchise. So we're going to hop right into the Google Doc and we're going to talk about some of the questions in here. 17 questions, so it's not as long as the DMC discussion, but I think they're very interesting for the moment. So the first question is, the first thing we can talk about, I think we already talked about our personal history, so I guess we can X that out unless James has anything to say.
If he's here.
If he's, no, I think he's Ripperino. So we're going to go to the second question then, since we already talked about our history. It's kind of weird because I kind of segue into that, but I didn't look at the doc, so it was just staring me in the face and I already answered my own question. So
Yep.
The second one is, how would you rank the series from the first Onimusha all the way up until Soul?
If anyone else wants to go before me.
Well, I can say this. I've seen a couple of Let's Plays recently of Onimusha. Like, I seen Let's Play of Onimusha Warlords, like, years ago with the channel called The Brother of Gaming, which is a really good Let's Play. I recommend checking those out. And recently with Dom and his Gemma run, which was also really good. Excuse the noise in the background.
Oh, it's okay.
No, you're all good.
And Onimusha 2, I've seen that, and I say though, it makes me feel a little nostalgic a little bit for some reason, like seeing the pre-rendered backgrounds, and it just keeps reminding me of Resident Evil 2. Like, you know what, I feel like playing Resident Evil right now. I haven't seen much of 3 yet, besides a couple of seconds Ren had.
Yeah, I do think that I played Onimusha 1, Onimusha 3, and I played a little bit of Dawn of Dreams. From what I played, 1 was a pretty fantastic game for the way it was made. I can understand the whole philosophy of people saying that it's just Resident Evil with swords. But when they hit Onimusha 3, it kind of turned into its own thing, and it turned into a nice little hack and slash, which I could admire as a fan of Devil May Cry personally. When it hit Dawn of Dreams, and I played that about for a couple of minutes or so I don't have much experience with it. It just seemed like it tried to do too many things, and it started to fall apart the more I got into the game. I just got to the part where you get your first partner character, which is this little girl or whatever. That's where I stopped playing it. Yeah, not Sherry Burke. Oh God, no.
It's Jubayaki's granddaughter from the second game. Yeah, so.
Well, let's just say this:
facts.
Sherry Birkin is the worst playable character of human history. She's going to be horrible in the Resident Evil remake, and she probably will get eaten by dogs on my first playthrough. Be looking forward to that.
Oh my God.
Oh, I hope there's no escort missions.
Oh God, no! Just imagine if they could get hit. But I personally would rank the Onimusha 3 game as like one of the highest for me personally. I haven't played 2, so that could change. And I haven't beaten 1, so that could change. But 3 is the one that I played through, and I think that the production values were really high. They really put a lot of effort into it for what it was. I know some things were removed from Onimusha 2 that didn't satisfy a lot of people. I had a discussion about that beforehand with the female, and she was saying that there was things that they took away from Onimusha 2 that she did not like when it came to Onimusha 3. So I can see the discrepancies when I play them, but for now, Onimusha 3 is my highest rated one.
As far as like how I would go, personally, I feel as though Onimusha 2 is the best one, given the mechanics that they had, a lot of the features that they put in. for instance, like branching storylines, although there was no alternate ending. It was just branching scenarios that were based off of the Bond system, which is one of my favorite systems. Um, Onimusha 1, I do like some aspects of it. Genma, I felt as though it was a better version of the original because of the fact that it adds in more content. Is a much harder game. I even when I was streaming it, and Brandon can tell you about this, like I was having trouble with one of the, or actually both of the Phantom Realms because of how hard they made it.
You got wrecked, simple as that.
Yeah.
Rip.
Which, fun fact about Genma, they actually added in an extra Phantom Realm, which has a secret boss, so to speak, that basically wears your armor. So, but it's from there, they're all good in my opinion. 3, great game, but it feels underwhelming. I feel as though if it did have a lot of the features like branching scenarios, it would have been a better game in my opinion. And then we have Dawn of Dreams.
And we already know that Dawn does not like Dawn of Dreams
His
too
favorite
much.
game in the series.
His best game in the series.
Dawn
ever.
of Dreams, technically soulless, but will get me. It has a few good features. For one, lock on. Lock on is a great feature. I can't deny that. Okay, that's a great feature. The level cap, it's not leveling up your armor and weapon is not capped at level 3 anymore. That's a great change. Great change. I would like to see that make its way over to the next Onimusha. The fact that there is now an item system for which you can use gold and spend that. Great. You know, Onimusha 2 had a shop, which you can buy like specific items, and depending on what point in the story you're in, you can't buy certain items, but you know, it was vastly expanded on in Dawn of Dreams. Great system. But then you get to like a lot of the story inconsistencies, the certain gameplay mechanics that just did not make sense whatsoever. And just the fact that they made that particular game chapter based, you know, I did not enjoy that whatsoever. Oh, also handholding, so which is why I consider that game to be the worst. Then you have Soul, which is just a card game with Onimusha on the title, which is even worse than Dawn of Dreams, so I'll be fair to Dawn of Dreams and take back what I said about it being the worst, but, you know.
Alright, let's live again. So, before we got rudely interrupted by my router, I wanted to talk to Dom about question 3, and question 3 was, how do you feel about Capcom's recent announcement of trademarking the Onimusha license in Japan?
Personally, I'm hyped for it, but I'm also worried. The reason why I want to cover why I'm worried more first before I get into why I'm hyped.
Oh, sure,
Now,
go ahead.
The reason why I'm worried is because we had Onimusha Soul get ported over to PlayStation 3 in Japan before, so this could just be a port onto PlayStation 4. I hope that Soul is just irrelevant and done and Capcom's not touching it anymore. The reason why I'm hyped is that we could be getting a new Onimusha game, potentially a decent Onimusha game since 2004, because the last one we had was, at least in my opinion, that was good, was back in 2004 with Onimusha 3.
Yeah, I can see the excitement when it happened on my feed. I was jumping for joy like everyone else, but I can see the skepticism of it being just another mobile game or something pachinko related, and they just bring back the trademark and toss it away, because we've seen companies do this before. Like we already know that Konami, they're bringing a game called Big Boss, and we already know it's going to be a fucking pachinko slot game, and it's like, I'm not interested in this. I just want a full-fledged sequel. But We did talk on another podcast, and we saw that SNK canceled their patchy slot stuff in order to have more focus on their game. So I would like to see Capcom just be a good guy for once and just give us either a sequel or hell, even an HD remaster. That would be pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the later questions on the document, so we'll definitely cover that.
Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that some more. But Brandon, what do you think of Onimusha getting trademarked in Japan?
About time. For starters. Like Dom said, we haven't seen one. Well, we haven't seen a full-fledged title since Dawn of Dreams, but for Dawn, we haven't seen a good one since 3. So I think it's a good opportunity to bring it back and flesh it out. Because I can tell you for a fact, a lot of Onimusha fans are salty that Democrat got the attention it did and Onimusha didn't.
Yeah.
Let's keep in mind that Democrat has less games than Onimusha.
Yeah, I don't understand why the two fan bases hate each other. I love both games equally.
Is this really a thing?
Yeah, that's really a thing. Fans, just the fans of Onimusha and Devil May Cry just do not like each other.
Wow, this is quite unexpected for me. I would figure, like, me personally as a hack and slash aficionado, I would figure that a person will love more diversity. I mean, I can understand there's some hack and slash aficionados out there that really don't like one thing over the other. I saw a guy who loves DMC, but he doesn't love Ninja Gaiden. Personally, I love any good hack and slash that doesn't involve the name Ninja Theory. But I digress.
Agreed. I think we're all in the same picture here when it comes to that.
Yeah, but I never caught wind of DMC fans hating Onimusha fans and vice versa. That's new to me.
If Don didn't told me, I wouldn't believe it.
I think for Onimusha, it's more or less the fact that Onimusha fans really feel like treated unfairly, I guess, compared to Devil May Cry, because Devil May Cry was pretty much on the big spotlight. I mean, don't get me wrong, Onimusha did sell numbers. It was a big hit. Onimusha is on the top 10 list of best Capcom games. You know, except for Devil May Cry, of course, is higher on said list. And we all know that Mega Man is on the very top, but look at what Capcom's doing with Mega Man. But
anyway,
I want to segue into a little joke. I was gonna be like, if Onimusha fans were going to feel that way, that Devil May Cry got more treatment over their series, imagine how Mega Man fans feel like. And I'm surprised they haven't purchased the nuclear bomb yet, because yeah, the treatment of that series, in my opinion, for Capcom is quite frankly the worst, considering how long people have been waiting for a new iteration. I mean, they did get Legacy Collection, and that's something.
That's like a half collection, to be honest.
But that's a half collection at best.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's the whole little spiel. Just jealousy over there. I always liked both because I was introduced to both around the same time. I don't know how people can hate one over the other.
I personally don't. I played Onimusha 1. I loved it for what it introduced. And as a Resident Evil fan, that game called to me a little bit more. And I also loved Onimusha 3 and what it attempted. And we have some interesting stuff in the document about DMC and Onimusha related questions. So there's no hate here. Only love and demons and Oni getting chopped into bits. But we're going on to question 4. And
I finish it a little bit more. I didn't get to finish.
Oh, you didn't get to finish? I'm sorry, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm just like, to continue off, like, I was, as a person who hasn't played one, who was going to play one of them, but it turned out to be bad, I picked up a different series, which was, ironically, Devil May Cry. Wow. Mm-hmm. I really hope they do come out with either a HD collection, which I will get into later, or a reboot of the series. Like, either way, though, I hope they actually come out with something new and full flesh rather than a, soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with you.
All right, let's continue.
All right, let's continue. So we're on number 4. Speaking of that, and speaking of reboot, would you want them to either do a remake of Onimusha 1? Would you want them to do an HD remastering of the original series? Would you love for them to make a new sequel? Or would you rather have Onimusha put on the newly created PS2 Classic service on PSN? Or would you just like a reboot in general? Yeah, go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I consider Gamma Onimusha a pseudo remake of the first one, Warlords, because it has a little more stuff in it. But besides that, I rather them releasing if they're gonna go the HD collection route, release the HD collection with Gamma Onimusha, but rename the title Onimusha Warlords. I guess you could do that. And I know Dom's gonna disagree with me heavily, but at least should add Dawn of Dreams, just for people to try it out, see whether they like it or not.
See, I will be fair. I don't think that game should be excluded from an HD remaster, and I'll talk about what I think should be done. But like, I don't think it should be included within the collection. I think it should be its own separate HD remaster, personally.
That's like saying, like, okay, bringing back Devil May Cry 2 shouldn't be part of the collection because it wasn't the best one. Original trilogy.
No, hear me out, because if you're gonna put in the trilogy, you would only put in the first 3 games. You wouldn't. You don't normally see HD collections with 4 games. Usually, they're about 2 to 3 games included in said collection, and then they'll come out with like side games or whatever with a, on their own disc or digitally only. Although I will say that if they wanted to, they could potentially make a Volume 1 and Volume 2 HD collection, where Volume 2 includes Dawn of Dreams, Blade Warriors, and maybe an upscaled version of Tactics.
I'm gonna have to say that you are right, Dom. There's usually a lot of studios out there putting the original trilogies over side games. But I think that Metal Gear Solid Legacy proved that you can make a compilation of a lot of games put together. So I think that they can do that if that's what they're working on at the time. If they just want to focus on the original trilogy, I don't mind that. But if you wanted sort of a compilation, that option should always be on the table if people want it as well.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not denying that option.
Like Metal Gear and what's the other one? God of War did that too. They released a compilation of all the games on one case, not one disc, but just one case.
And in HD, they actually went out of their way for God of War, and they put those PSP games in HD, which I definitely commend them on because I do like Little Kratos action myself.
Same. So yeah, like having compilations, like not. No. I mean, they broke the mold several times with smaller things like Mega Man, for example. True. And some other Steam games that I can't name off the top of my head right now. So yeah, I'll say like just add Dawn of Dreams in if they want to have a full compilation of the PS2 games, not just the trilogy.
Yeah, I personally would want, if they did like an HD collection for fans to get refreshed on the series, and then I would want them to do a full-blown sequel like right after that. Like, this is how Shenmue should have been. They should have released the HD collection, and then fans could go ahead and get their feet wet with Shenmue 3. That's how I think it should be done to introduce people who never played it on the Dreamcast, and they could open it up to a whole new audience.
Oh, okay. One last side note: Silent Hill HD Collection made a mistake. Several mistake. They didn't release 4 or any other PS2 titles like 0 or even though
Just
1.
Be glad they didn't fuck those up.
Yeah, I know, but no, just considering like they made this mistake, they didn't release the other ones because 1 is more polarizing than the other and whatnot. They didn't even give it a chance, but seeing what happened, I ain't complaining. But just a little food for thought.
I'm just gonna say wink wink, Silent Hill might be a new episode, wink wink.
For me personally, I'm kind of split on this. I really don't know what I want. With the HD collection, I want it to be the trilogy, but something that I've mentioned before on my own videos, and I had a petition up, I don't know if I've mentioned that already, for an HD collection. I wanted Onimusha Warlords to include aspects of Genma, like maybe make Genma a modifier, so to speak, where it changes the item placement, gives you all the new armors or whatever, the extra locations and the new enemy types, just as a modifier, kind of like the ultimate mode,
Can
which
I
is
like segue to that for a
mhm.
second now?
Yeah, sure.
Like I can see them like merging Warlords and Gemma together and have Gemma as a actual mode where the Onis turn into this red things with the green souls.
Yeah,
Like that could
like
be
a
the pseudo Dante once that mode.
yeah, yeah. Like either that or a modifier of sorts. I can see it working. Just because I do personally think that Gitmo Onimusha is a better game over the original because of some of the changes in content and whatnot, but that's just me. Uh, I'm okay with an Onimusha 1 remake because that would also give them the chance to maybe add in things and make it a longer experience. Um, Maybe include things they weren't able to do with the original that they probably could now. And I'm also okay with a reboot at this point because we just have not seen Onimusha for almost over a decade at this point.
12 years, I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
it's been a long time.
So I am really okay with anything and everything at this point. I just want it to be good. Um, I also forgot that there is the PS2 Classic list, which if they don't do the HD collection, they could always port those games over. And given that Sony does have a Super Nintendo game, I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow got an original Xbox game on there.
Yeah, that thinking about that now, that'd be hell of interesting. I would love to see Gemma Onimusha on there because the
There's
only
so many
one,
different language issues.
yeah, the only one I played for one, the only variation I played was the original, so I didn't get the chance to play Gemma Onimusha yet. But we're going to segue into the next question, and that is question number 5. What is your favorite game mechanic of the Onimusha series?
If you want to go run first, I'm okay with going last this time.
I have to really think about this one. I'm going to say, even though it's not it's not really like something new. I'm going to have to say that it was the mechanic of going back. No, wait, I don't know if this was new or not. My brain is all like scrambled. But it was the mechanic of going in the past and going in the future in Onimusha 3.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that you can go back and revisit stages with either Samanosuke or Jock, and it would be vastly different. I think that there was a game that did this before, but I'm not too sure. I think it was Sonic CD, where you can go in the past and the future. I really like seeing that, and I would love to see something like that in more games. But that was an overall great mechanic. I like how if you do something in the past, it'll change the future and vice versa. And you could help your character out through the magic mirror if that was the case, to give key items and solve puzzles that way. I thought that was kind of interesting.
The time traveling genre now.
Yeah, but the time travel thing has been done before, but I was just thinking like to the extent of what it was and was it in other games or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say like a remake of Onimusha 3 could potentially work like that.
Yeah.
If they were to bring it back.
And it'll give you a chance to play with the female character. I think her name is Kaede.
No, that's the original Onimusha. In Onimusha 3, I forget her name.
I know you're talking about the French girl with the gun.
Yeah.
I forget her
Lady.
name. It's not Lady.
She does get a towel costume though.
Yeah, and she was just like really kicking ass with those guns. That was actually like a lot of fun playing with her. I thought it was gonna be kind of dull, given the fact that this whole time you're playing with swordsmen. Now you gotta play with this lady with guns. How is she gonna function? But overall, I didn't have a bad time playing her segments.
Oh man, you have yet to play as Magoichi in 2.
Oh nope,
It's
not
too
yet.
hype.
But I'm going to find that out actually.
I think 2 is better in terms of who you get to play as because there's various different segments where you get to play as different characters and check out their different abilities. One has an ability that allows them to draw souls. So I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but just to kind of give you a tidbit of that.
Oh sure, no problem on that. I'll definitely get around to playing the second one as soon as I can. But does anyone have anything to add for the favorite game mechanic? Brandon, can you go?
Uh,
Because
well,
Don wanted to go last.
even though I haven't played any Onimusha games, just visually looked at them, I gotta say I like the ability to absorb those orb things from 1 and 2,
Oh, the
and for
soul
you,
draw.
yeah, and also for you to like turn into this allows you to use this enhanced ability, makes you invincible and regenerate health for a short period of time.
Oh, you mean the
Oh, from
Oni
Genma.
transformation?
Yeah,
No. You mean the one that lets you regenerate health is the one from Genma, where you grab the green souls?
Yeah, wherever mechanic is from, where game is from, I enjoy that mechanic a lot just by looking at it. It's like this little devil trigger for me because it's my go-to analogy. And I like having the ability to transform and feeling more OP than I should. Like feel more dominant over my enemies. I just enjoy those type of mechanics.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go,
Um,
Dom. You're up.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt earlier, but like just to kind of bring that up. For me personally, it's the Oni form from Onimusha 2. It does make its way over to Onimusha 3. It's similar to how Genma works, where you absorb green souls, except for in Onimusha 2, it's purple souls, and you turn into an Onimusha and just wreak havoc.
So is there a
You're
dark soul?
invincible, you use magic attacks, and you just do a hell of a lot more damage. You just don't regenerate health in that form, though.
I need more power. I had to
But
throw that
definitely
reference
my
out
favorite.
there.
Can
Yeah.
we get a Majin form in?
I wish. You do get to transform in 2 of the games into like an ultimate form. Just to throw that out there.
So he basically absorb demon souls and get stronger.
Actually, 3 of the games, but we won't talk about Dawn of Dreams.
Oh God. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about that later, but we're on question 6 now, and it's if you could have one Capcom weapon or technique appear in a new Onimusha iteration, then what would you have?
Oh wait, that would be obvious for me. Rebellion and Yamato. Call it a day. Yeah. Okay. Jokes aside. Yeah, seriously, I had one of those 2 weapons. It would be hilarious to see a samurai pull Judgment Cut.
I wouldn't mind for weapons. I wouldn't mind seeing something like a Yamato, like you said, because I love the katana with Virgil. And for technique, I guess I could go with Real Impact. I really like that move, and maybe
God.
maybe for Onimusha, like I wouldn't mind seeing Greaves either, Gauntlets and Greaves, because I don't know, it's just maybe it's my inner Beowulf calling to me. But I really liked how that weapon functioned, even though it was basically Ifrit on crack. But that's what I really like to see in another Onimusha iteration.
Before I begin on what I was gonna say, I wanted to talk about like they could potentially do a Gauntlet and Greave type weapon, assuming that the character is like Jubei, where they absorb souls through their hand rather through a gauntlet. Because, as we all know, Seminosuke is the only character that uses the gauntlet. Which is another plot inconsistency with Dawn of Dreams, but, I'm not going to talk about that game here.
Well, can you explain it later? Because I'm kind of lost in the story.
I'll definitely explain it later, but so that would make sense if the character was an actual Oni and absorbs souls through their hand. That I would probably be interested in seeing. Now, as far as what I would like to see, I think in terms of abilities, I'd really like to see a pseudo super stinger type of move when you're in the Oni form.
Oh god.
And I'm not really sure what weapons they could bring. Like maybe a scythe would be cool for Onimusha. Because we've gotten a hammer, we've gotten a giant axe, we've gotten various different swords. I think a scythe variation would be pretty cool to see. Or even like, you know how like Ninja Gaiden has the
The
Kusurigama?
close.
The one where it's got the ball and chain, and
Oh,
Oh
it's
that.
got
yeah,
the
yeah.
sickle. I definitely would like to see something like that too.
Hmm.
So far, amazing weapon concept so far.
Yep.
I would have loved James to join us on that question, but he's Ripperino. He's still Ripperino.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to question number 7, and it's talking a little bit about Onimusha's development history. We know that Onimusha Warlords was originally meant to be on the PS1. Do you think it would have had a bigger impact if they stuck on that platform?
Uh,
Um,
Probably not.
Personally, no, I don't think it would.
Well, you guys said
Could-
earlier that it was late into the PS1 development that they made the Son Goku Resident Evil game, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that is correct.
So I think what would have happened is if it would have stayed on the PS1, it would have lost steam, because that seemed to happen with a lot of the games at the time. Like I remember Siphon Filter 3 sort of lost steam. It was kind of mediocre, but it lost steam because it was on that platform when games were moving to the next platform, like the PS2, like Metal Gear Solid, and they were showing off just these amazing graphics, this amazing gameplay. A lot of people were really pumped for it, and I think it wouldn't have thrived anywhere else.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Considering the amount of production value in Onimusha, there's no way it would have suffered as well in PS1 polygons.
The only thing that is unfortunate about it moving over from PS1 to PS2 is that it is a much shorter game now. I think it honestly would have been a little bit longer had it stayed on PS1. That is the only thing I can see happening with it. But outside of making like an actual impact, I doubt it.
I can definitely attest to that. It would have been. I haven't finished Onimusha 1, but if it is painstakingly short because of that development cycle, then I can see the detriment right there.
Yeah, you can probably beat it in an hour, honestly, if you speedrun it.
Jeez, that is
On a
really
normal
short.
playthrough, it takes about 3 to 4 hours.
If you're a noob,
Hmm.
I'm glad they, well, considering that I played Onimusha 3, I'm glad they remedied that situation with the length, because Onimusha 3 was kind of long.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to number 8, and is considering how Onimusha influenced the creation of DMC. Do you think that DMC's mechanics could influence Onimusha's gameplay if things were inspired from DMC4?
well, can I go first though?
Yeah, sure.
Depends on the characteristics of the characters themselves and the setting. Like, can they pull off high time and aerial wave or whatnot in Onimusha? Or is it possible to pull some of these other stuff off?
No, but I can kind of see the enemy juggling with the swords. Because, I mean, it's the way Dante does it is a conventional move. I don't think that they have to do anything flashy to do something like
Yeah,
juggle
that's like my
combos.
concern. Like, Democrats flashy stylish hack and slash game that has a lot of tools and whatnot.
And Onimusha's a bit more serious, but I mean, they could take mechanics that works well, that doesn't have to look flashy, like how, considering, the performance 60 FPS, that's standard for hack and slash, and making the combos very, very, very interwoven and interesting for a game like
that's
Onimusha.
one thing they could add is actually more combos and probably more variety in combos and potentially weapons.
Fun fact, Onimusha 2 had like secret scrolls you can find. Or they weren't really secret, but they allowed you to
Game
do like
before Nimpo.
no.
You're taking
Different
a Ninja
game.
Gaiden.
But you can perform like specific combos or whatever for whatever weapons. So like, you know how like you'd always see like this short little like cutscene of like the character getting the weapon and they do like some like cool combo, um, but you can never actually do it when
In
playing the
gameplay?
game. Yeah,
Yeah, because Onimusha 3
Onimusha
had that.
Onimusha 2 actually allowed you to do that, which was one of the best features of it. It actually, whenever you would do that set combo, it would actually do more damage to the enemies because of the speed and whatnot.
That sounds awesome. The more I know on that one, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
So does
yeah.
anyone else have anything else to add for question 7?
Yeah, this is a little bit more.
I mean question 8.
Can we get like Royal Guard, Trickster, a little Dark Slinger action here and there? Get a Gunslinger.
I can see maybe potentially seeing like different styles. I can see that, but I don't know if we. I definitely don't think we'd be seeing like different, like Gunslinger or anything like that.
Can we get Samanosuke right up tower with a horse?
Oh my god! Now Brandon's asking for a little bit too much.
Well, like what I think could potentially happen is we could see something where like you know how like Yakuza 0, because of the lack of characters coming off of 5, they implemented styles for both characters that are in the game so they can make up for that. I think that would actually work if they were to do something like that.
That's cool.
But as far as like what it could be influenced, it kind of already has, considering that Dawn of Dreams did give us lock on. So that was again a good change from Dawn of Dreams, something I will not fault Dawn of Dreams for.
That should be mandatory for all hack and slash games, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. I think at this point you should. I said this before, but when people said that lock on during DMC, DMC was basically. I think someone said that what's the big deal with it being in there. I think that you can't focus on individualized targets that way, and it makes everything a mess than it really needs to be. So if you want to focus on that one guy, you should have the option to snap on him, snap off of him, and go to the next enemy, or snap off someone and do a giant combo and get away. I think that hack and slash should be about all the stuff that is brought to the table about combat and refining it in a way where it actually is pleasant to play.
And to do a little segue off that, Ninja, despite having a good Ninja guy in this, it also had similar problem. There's no lock on. I think at this point in time, Ninja guy needs a lock on.
Just to kind of segue off of that, Devil May Cry, the original Devil May Cry, had this issue, and Onimusha had this issue for the longest time, where you'd be trying to attack one enemy, but all of a sudden you're attacking the one that's right behind you, and you're trying to stab this one that's on the ground that you're trying to finish off, and that'll really just mess you up, And Devil May Cry had that issue where, like, sometimes there were just one enemy right behind you, and you're trying to get the one that's in front of you, and it just becomes an utter mess. Which is why lock-on is a very big deal.
I think lock-on and maybe like 360 attacks, radial attacks, it would sort of remedy that issue of enemies being all over the place and you need to hit a guy fast. I know there's certain games that have that where you can attack people from behind. I think one of them that I definitely know for sure is Tenchu 2, because if you play with the other characters, you can attack from behind you if someone is behind you and turn the camera around from there. So I would like to see something like that come into Onimusha and other hack and slash games. I think it would be pretty cool.
And this is just something for later, but I definitely can see Onimusha taking on the style of something like Dark Souls, which we were just talking about Neo, but if it were to take a Dark Souls approach to its gameplay and combat style, I could potentially see that working out too. If it's not taking anything from Devil May Cry, of course.
Well, speaking of Neo, it leads us to question number 9, and that's, after the appearance of Neo from the Tokyo Game Show, do you believe there is a place in the Western market for Eastern-inspired Sengoku-style games?
Absolutely.
I think, for me, it's a little wait and see. I know that people got excited and whatnot, but numbers do speak. So I would just rather wait and see a little bit. Then I will give my full opinion on that. Completely opinion. But I will say I hope people do buy it, and it does lead up to more Eastern inspired games.
Same here. I think that if a video game has a lot of good merit to it, and if people do want to play it, they do want to relish in the experience, they're gonna want to get their hands on it no matter what region it's from. And I personally don't think that there should be any barriers preventing that. I think that everyone should have as much fun as possible with the games that they are interested in. So I do think there is a place for American gamers to enjoy the games from the Eastern market, and I don't think that there should be any sort of obstruction in the way with that.
Yep.
Agree.
So any of you guys still have any opinions on that?
No, I think you pretty much summed up everything.
Well, thanks, good surprise. I mean, look how great Dark Souls came out as a popular series. People thought it was still a niche, but now it became its own thing.
Yeah, it became its own thing, and it definitely. I commend From Software. They're definitely stepping it up, branching it out with Bloodborne, and not a lot of people can say that. Like a lot of people like to stick to the same old stale formula in the video game industry. But I do commend these studios that are Eastern for branching out, finding new things to do, keeping to some styles, keeping to some familiar things, and also trying new things in the process. Improvement. Yeah, improvement
like
is always key.
Unlike some other games I know, but I won't speak about it right now.
Oh God, I think I know what you're talking about too. But we're going to move on to question number 10, and that is, what is the best secret you discover in the Onimusha series?
Oh, that is a tough one.
Well, from Don's told us earlier that the collaboration with Devil May Cry and Onimusha, that was something I didn't know. I knew it was Onimusha is based off Resident Evil. He told me that months ago. But for it to be had this connection to Devil May Cry, was I didn't expect that to happen.
You want to go, Dom?
Yeah, sure. For me, it's a really tough one to think about. But I think one that I found out, I think it was last year where I found out about it, was that I always thought that Princess Yuki was actually the love interest for Samanosuke. It's actually Kaede. A lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know that. I found out after fucking Anita Scamkezian made her video on that.
Damn, shooting live on air.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that was, I guess the only thing that could rival that is my discovery for Genmo Onimusha, because I didn't know about that game for quite a while.
I guess I could say that the best secret I discovered was my introduction into the Phantom Realm, or whatever. This little tiny baby that comes from the ceiling, and he gives you this creepy ass look. And,
the crazy old man.
Yeah, the crazy old man, and then he asks you if you want to challenge, and you accept, and you fight just these legion of monsters. I thought that was a pretty interesting endurance to go through. I definitely had a lot of fun with it during my first time on Onimusha 3, and it definitely made me want to go back and keep doing them until I finally got all the secret items, which I did. So I thought that those Phantom Rooms were pretty fun, and if they ever made a sequel, I would really love to see them come back.
Before we move on to the next question, I just want to backtrack to the whole stuff that we'd like to see from DMC make their way over to Onimusha.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a Phantom Realm that's more or less like a bloody palace?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Why don't we have that?
And to borrow from Ninja Gaiden, I'd say the same thing for Devil May Cry, because there's a lot of things from Ninja Gaiden that I think Devil May Cry could actually use. I will say this to the day I die: Ninja Gaiden has more replay value than Devil May Cry. To
segue into something else, what I would like to see? I would like to see that little bastard that comes from the ceiling come down And I would love to see him troll you. Like he'll say something like, "Are you sure you want to go into this Phantom Realm? I'm pretty sure it's a lot different than the last time you experienced it." And I would love to see what they put in Ninja Gaiden, which is like boss challenges. I would love to see that as a bloody palace for Onimusha.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
also like to
just
see
it's just straight bosses, and you got this little bastard telling you, "Oh, I told you it was different. You're not fighting the normal enemies that you're used to, huh?"
If you die,
I
don't
could
come
see
back to
that
help me.
along with that, I could see them like bring it back like trials, like Ninja Gaiden they call it, like trials of whatever or the quest of something. So when I have like something related to that for Onimusha and or Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
The fucking mini games in Onimusha, those always pissed me off. they're kind of like trials, more or less.
But I haven't played them, so you have to like correct me on that.
Well, they're not trials like in Ninja Gaiden, but in a sense they are trials because like one in Onimusha one you gotta break all these pots and do it before you die. Onimusha 2 you beat everything with a stick, so you have to get from point A to point B collecting pieces of film. And in Onimusha 3, you have a target practice minigame which unlocks ultimate mode. Actually, all of them unlock ultimate mode, but each one is more ridiculous than the last.
I haven't tried target practice out yet, but I have a feeling that it is going to get on my nerve.
It is. Trust me.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Me and my brother had a fight over that. But when we finally unlocked ultimate mode, it was just like, never again.
I promise, bro, I won't punch you in the face again for helping me. You're welcome, you jerk. But we're going to move on to question number 11. If Onimusha were to come back with a sequel, side game, or reboot, which historical figure do you think the main character should be based off of?
I don't know my history that well, so this is gonna be a pass for me.
This is gonna be a pass for me too, because my history sucks. I always hated history, but I'm good with geography, so I don't know how that works, but it does.
Okay, then I guess this is just a solo thing for me.
Yeah.
For a sequel, if we ever get an Onimusha 4, I really want to see Musashi Miyamoto be
Mario Maker.
What? Not Shigeru, I said Musashi.
Oh. Can you get Kojima?
No.
Oh, great. Yeah, we're going to get Kojima. He's going to have a Metal Gear and Onimusha confirmed.
It's funny you say that because in Onimusha 3 they have like the mech enemy types or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember now, yeah.
Yep. But if it's a sequel, if it's Onimusha 4, I would really like it if it was Musashi Miyamoto. Maybe not going through all of his life, but just going through a portion of his life where he ends up going out and killing Kojiro Sasaki, which was probably like one of his last few fights where he ever used an actual sword, or actually went out to kill, so to speak. And he actually, I think they could probably put a little twist on that where the ultimate weapon would be like some kind of, so to speak, like ultimate boken or whatever, which is
Italian
what
plumber.
he used to fight that, which is basically a wooden sword, but I would like to see something like that. If it is a side game, I don't know who I'd want to see, but a reboot, I definitely think they should go back and bring back Samanosuke Akechi.
Samanosuke is hype.
Hype for Samanosuke confirmed. Yeah, I like Samanosuke. I would not mind seeing him again, actually. So, we're going to move on to question 12. We're kind of winding down. So, question 12 is, if Onimusha were to change his playstyle, what game should it be borrowed from?
I personally think Dark Souls.
Yeah, Dark Souls can work. Or if they want more combo-based hack and slash, and obviously Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden.
I would have to really think on that one. Holy shit. This got me in deep thinking now.
Or they're gonna pull a Warriors game on this. Onimusha Warriors.
Oh, please no. As much as like I'm a huge fan of the Musou games, but
Yeah, he never shuts to
don't
the bottom.
don't turn Onimusha into a Warriors game. Just I would rather either keep its original style or go straight to a Dark Souls style.
Hmm. I this might be weird and it might be kind of awesome, but I would like if they were to change their style, I would like something in the vein of MGR, larger than life enemies, just a bunch of crazy shit going on, and you're just this ultimate samurai badass cutting everyone into mincemeat.
I could see something like what is it? Not Zandatsu, but the blade mode working out maybe.
Oh
If
yeah,
you could, like,
definitely Blaze
dissect
Out.
your
Zandatsu is
enemies.
ripping people in half.
Maybe using it in boss fights like they did with MGR, and you have an enemy with like a certain weapon with like a shield, and you have to cut it in a certain direction. I think that would be pretty cool to see in an Onimusha game.
Oh, great question, Dom. In Onimusha, do you take weapons from bosses or?
No, in Onimusha 1 and in Onimusha 3, you would get orbs, and you would basically Samanosuke would put the orbs into his gauntlet, and that's how he would get his weapons.
Because the reason why I asked, I think they could pull the Mega Man approach and, of course, Death May Cry. When you beat a boss, you get, like, say, a specific weapon or armor set and orbs and whatnot.
Well, the armor set thing was kind of a thing in Genma Onimusha, but the weapon thing actually, in Onimusha 3, the final boss, you can, if you're doing well enough in the fight, Nobunaga will like kneel down and he'll let go of his sword. If you absorb the darkness, it combines with the Onimusha sword to create a new weapon. But it also makes the boss fight even harder.
Why is that?
Because he actually puts more. I don't know. I think Nobunaga ends up putting more effort into the fight because he doesn't have a sword.
Oh God, I've never seen that happen.
You've never taken Nobunaga's sword?
No, I've never taken the sword. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty hype. It basically combines with the Onimusha sword, making a completely different sword, and it gives you more attack power, but at the same time, Nobunaga gets harder in the fight. He's more aggressive, and he attacks more frequently.
That is hype. I gotta see it. I gotta body Nobunaga fast and get that sword. But also, he's gonna hit me with the fisticuffs. He's gonna be like a Hitmon champ. So,
Yeah.
I definitely will try that out the next time that I play it. So we're on question 13 now, and it's: do you think Onimusha should remain a PlayStation exclusive, or just have a majority of games stay on the PlayStation platform?
You mind if I stick with it first, Demon?
Go ahead.
Go for it, yeah. Go for it.
Well, considering Onimusha not necessarily been a PlayStation exclusive, just more success on the PlayStation system. I think I guess for like success sakes, considering that most of the fan base is on the PlayStation brand, they'd probably be better off leaving it on the PlayStation. I know this sound fanboyish, but numbers don't lie.
If you want to go run.
I actually think that it should branch out to other consoles, because other consoles means more of a broader audience. And considering the fact that even though it was a shit port, Onimusha 3 definitely was on the PC. So
And don't forget the first game on the Xbox.
yeah, it'll be the first game on the Xbox. So damn it, I keep forgetting Gemma Onimusha. Oh my god.
Yeah, like I said, like more success on the PlayStation platform than the others.
Yeah.
So like, let's just go by numbers' sake. I think it'd be better off leaving it on the PlayStation brand rather than like going off.
Yeah, but I personally think that if more people can get their hands on it, more people can play it on other platforms. There's, the PC crowd, there's the Xbox crowd, there's the PlayStation crowd.
Well, yeah, the PC crowd would definitely be a good platform to put it on if they actually had to pick a second platform.
Not to mention mods. Mods is always good. Dante and Onimusha, that's always good.
Yeah, and unless if you you're still going, Ren?
Oh no, you can go ahead. I'm finished. I just think that it should be multi-platform, and it would get into the hands of many gamers.
I agree. I definitely think it should go multi-plat. Just to broaden the fan base, because yeah, a majority of the fan base is on PlayStation. Not going to deny that, but it'd be great to see Xbox players get their hands on it and get the chance to play it. Nintendo fans over on the Wii U get their chance to play it. Although they'd probably get that shit censored before you can say rated M.
Yeah, I think that the Nintendo fan base will have a much harder time running something like a next-gen game. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I think we all know by now.
That's kind of a joke to me, honestly, now.
The Wii U is pretty much underwhelming in terms of specs.
Of course it'd have to be watered down, but we won't shitpost too much on the Wii U and Nintendo. And definitely on the PlayStation 4 and PC. Definitely, considering that, again, the Onimusha fan base started pretty much from the PlayStation, and just seeing a PC version would just be amazing, with all the mod support, of course.
I definitely agree there.
Just like I said, if you're gonna make a second platform, PC should definitely be the consider, because hack and slash games are definitely good on PC, if they're ported correctly, of course.
Yeah, don't be Ubisoft. But for question 14, if Onimusha were to be announced by the end of this year, if not early 2016, do you think it will be competing with Nioh for sales?
Potentially.
No, I hope not.
Potentially, I agree with Brandon. I hope not, but I could potentially see it.
Yeah, considering people are comparing it to since Neo does have a Onimusha vibe to it, it could potentially clash in sales. So, do you want a Dark Souls-esque Onimusha, or do you want a Capcom Onimusha?
I'm gonna be like, all right, I do like Team Ninja, and I still do like Capcom, even though I don't agree with all their decisions. I still do like that they're trying to get back on track. They're trying to get back on the right foot, and so is Team Ninja. I personally am the type of guy that will wish them the best of luck, and I'll be the type of guy to say, why not get both? That's just going to be my philosophy. Like, I'm going to get Onimusha, and I'm going to get Nioh, and I'm going to have two nice Sengoku period games that will satisfy my urges for more hack and slashes. So, I mean, I will have everything that I need right there.
Yep, agreed.
So we're going to move to question 15. Do you think Onimusha should be chapter-based like Dawn of Dreams, or should it be more like 1 through 3 plus Gemma, where it is more of a classic Resident Evil style game?
Do you want to go, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now. Personally, I think it should definitely be chapter based, because I just want to go back to the chapter and play itself rather than just playing the whole entire game over again. Just want to pick which one I'm gonna do now. It's basically like, of course, Devil May Cry. You can pick whatever mission you want. And for the classic Resident Evil style of game, what do you mean by that exactly?
I assume that it should play throughout like classic Resident Evil. So we were talking specifically about chapter-based stuff. What it will basically mean is you do have the saves present, and you would just save in that particular area or that particular part. But other than chapter select, that would not be there. You have to go through the game start to finish.
Yeah, I'd rather have that option. Just let me play whatever chapter I personally like the most and just play it over again.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel that for a hack and slash, obviously I'm going to be the type of guy that if there is achievements or if there is things that I have to achieve on a certain chapter, then I would like to go back and play at that point and just tidy up from there and finish. I don't mind either style, but I know one is more longer than the other, and you just have to go to that specific point in order to get there. So I would rather prefer the chapter-based scenario than having to go through the entire game and save at a certain part and start over.
For myself personally, I would prefer the classic style, but I think there's a potential for a hybrid to be made. And what I mean by that is if you limit the amount of chapters, but given the locations and areas that you'll go to, if they're, large in scale and allow you to like explore and whatnot, I think that would be great. And then, of course, assuming that it's just a small amount of chapters, but large areas to explore, you can just pick and choose when you want to go into those chapters
Yeah,
via chapter select.
to piggyback off Dom, I think that the style should be in vein of Resident Evil 4, where it is a lot to explore.
Yes, Resident Evil 4. That's a good comparison.
Yeah, like there's a lot to explore. It's a big open area. Every area seems different and varied, but there is a chapter select system. So if you do want to like go to certain chapters, you can be able to. No, wait. Does Resident Evil 4 have chapter select, or am I
Nope,
mistaken?
that was 5.
No.
No, it just highlighted which chapter you were on. I mean, I wouldn't mind something like that, but in the vein of instead of being on a specific area and saving, that you would have the chapter-based system there, and you can go to that chapter whenever you want after you completed the game. Because I was thinking for a second, I was thinking about the cutscene viewer by mistake that Resident Evil 4 had, where you can go look at specific stuff from specific chapters. I think it should be sort of like that, but you can pick whatever level you want and wherever area you want to go from there after you beat the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, that should be an addition. A cutscene viewer.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that too.
definitely.
I don't mind that too. More options to the player is very interesting.
And the only reason why I bring up like shorter is because of the fact that Dawn of Dreams is just unreasonably long for an Onimusha game, and it just drags on and on and on and on, and it's just it takes years and years to finish. So and yeah, that's an exaggeration, but which is
Sound like you're
which is why
serious.
I think which is why I think that if they were to do the chapter-based system, it should be shorter, but they should give you very large areas to explore.
I am thinking like, yeah, they should definitely give you those areas to explore after you beat it. So it'll give you more of a incentive to like go back and check out previous areas or get previous things that you might have missed. I think that is where the feature could definitely benefit.
And before I just ultimately stop talking about this, I guess you could say that if they were to take something like Revelations 1, not 2, in terms of how that game was structured, where it was still chapter based, but you were, backtracking and exploring different areas of the ship, maybe if they did
really
it
do
in that way.
And things were
Yeah.
different. I was thinking like maybe they could still implement the whole past and present feature, where the levels are like vastly different.
That would be
but,
for 3.
yeah,
Right.
but I think they can reel that back from the past. That's just a little suggestion to put on the table. So we're off that topic. So we're going to move to question 16. We got like 2 more left, and this one is: what do you think Capcom should avoid doing for the next game? This is question 16.
That'd be obvious for Dom. Don't make it like Dawn of Dreams. Or give it a Ninja
Anything-
Theory.
Oh, I was gonna
Anything-
piggyback off of Don when he mentioned Dawn of Dreams. It must be fantastically long because that game is 2 discs.
Yeah. It is.
Dang.
It is 2 discs. I can confirm it because I have it.
I just to kind of sidetrack here, like I honestly believe that game in particular is the downfall of Keiji Inafune.
Really?
Yeah. I honestly believe that is the downfall of Keiji Inafune.
Renee, you don't mind if we like had that little small discussion about that like after we finished with Onimusha?
What you mean, like?
But he said, like
Keiji
downfall.
Inafune?
Like, I'm just curious, like, why is that? Like, why Dawn of Dreams is the black sheep of Onimusha?
We can actually have a discussion for that for question 16. Like, I guess I could say that he's made a lot of decisions I'm not fond of. I remember, I don't usually like Kamiya either, but he did say that Keiji Inafune was a businessman. All he cares about is getting his bottom line. All he cares about is getting his money. And I do think that's true after the Red Ash campaign, and he had like about 1 billion Kickstarters all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that is definitely true. He is in it for the money all the way 100%. And there's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur, but at the same time, you got to have a good vision. You got to make sure that vision resonates with not only the people around you, but what you're trying to accomplish and with the amount of quality involved. If you just shit something out, I think it's always going to turn out poor no matter what. And to make sure you don't second guess yourself, you have to go back and make sure that everything's fine, everything's worked on. But it just seems like Mighty Number 9, for instance, is just another cash grab. And so far, the game is not looking that spectacular, even though people are saying it's fun. It's just not looking good. It's like, where did all that money go if the graphics look like this? It looks very bad.
Yeah, don't
It went into that anime, though.
Yeah, and they're making an anime. It's like, this is getting ridiculous.
It went into that live-action movie, though.
The game is not finished.
Wait, that's actually a thing?
Yeah, everything is actually a
thing.
thing, yeah.
And, you know, and this is why I brought up Dawn of Dreams and why I feel as though, again, since we're kind of, I guess it kind of is in topic with the question, why I feel as though that game in particular, Dawn of Dreams, is the downfall of Keiji Inafune. He, did not do what the fans really want, and he just kind of pushed it out and just assumed people would like it because it's Onimusha.
Yeah, we already know that due to brand recognition alone, a game won't sell just because of that. Look at DMC Devil May Cry.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
Thanks, Inafune.
Yeah,
ironically, right? The irony.
thumbs up, .jpg. So, we have the last question here, last question of the night. If you played Gemma Onimusha, you would notice that it was made to be harder than the initial iteration. Would you want a new iteration to be like Gemma, or should it be more streamlined to be more accessible like DMC4 for a new audience?
Ooh. That actually kind of depends, though. For Devil May Cry 4, it was based on character. Because Nero was streamlined down to is for veterans. Basically, purposely did that because Nero's a rookie and Dante is a vet. So, give one the less and one the more. For difficulty-wise, I think this should actually have options for difficulty. Like, have Gilmon as your it gets hard, or Dante must die mode.
Yeah, you know what? I really agree with you there. And there's just one game that really was like, this is the kick in the teeth mode, and this is the easy mode. But still, if you don't learn the game fast, or if you don't learn the mechanics, you will have a difficult time. And that is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Devil May
Cry 4 actually had that too. When you do normal mode, once you go over to Son of Sparta mode, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, it's a whole new ball game. And I just like how the game gives you the option. Okay, this is easy. You can play with easy. You get this infinite gun for Resident Evil 3. This is hard mode. This is where the men become men. Even stronger men. And you have to deal with Nemesis, and you get all these goodies if you down them. I just like that whole premise. It's like, if people want to play a more streamlined mode, it should be there for them to pick. If people want to challenge like right out of the box, which I know I do personally, if it comes to hack and slash games, then I obviously want to pick harder difficulties if I'm familiar with them. So the option should always be laid out on the table, no matter who you play as.
Exactly.
To kind of piggyback off of that, I think that they should go for a more harder game. And hear me out on this one. Look at something like a Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and how much of or just Dark Souls in general. Look at how much of an impact it has made, just for difficulty alone. With
people are thirsty for hard games too.
Yeah,
because now we're in the age of easy games.
So I think it should, even on normal, it should be a very hard game. Should there be an easy and a very easy modes? Yes, there should be. For those casual gamers that don't like to actually try and earn things, that should be available to them.
Shots fired.
Cell phone gamers.
You know, if they want to play it on very easy mode, they're not good at games, and they want to consider those modes as quote unquote hard, then by all means, I'm not going to judge anybody for wanting to have those modes. But I do think for veterans and new players alike that are like hardcore gamers, the game modes should be hard, and it should progressively get harder as you play. Um, One thing I don't think I've mentioned was a New Game Plus mode because these games never had one outside of Dawn of Dreams. So if it did something like every time you did New Game Plus, the game automatically bumped you up to the next difficulty, I think I'd be okay with that.
Damn, it seems like they gave like one of the most requested modes to the worst game in the series. That's weird.
All right. It takes the worst game in the series to actually give out some good stuff for it to be implemented better in the next game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, just on a side note, with Devil May Cry 4, I think they shouldn't try to make like nerfed characters or like more quote unquote accessible characters for Onimusha. Just because I don't feel like that really teaches a player how to learn and actually play the game. It really
They
just
made that
limits
mistake
their
with
potential.
Trish, I'm sure, yeah, Dom, you played Trish in 2, right? She had like more.
Yep.
I feel like she has more sets of options. Like she's basically like Democrat 1, but has something like a little more to her.
Mhm.
Like Nero was built from the ground up. Trish, for you could tell she wasn't. She borrows from Dante and Virgil heavily, which makes her playstyle, similar to theirs, obviously.
Mhm.
So like when they tried to make her streamlined, it actually hurt more than it helped. That Trish in 4 is an example why you should not streamline Dante and Virgil, because it would hinder the gameplay more than it help, regardless of what audience you have.
Yeah, which is exactly why they shouldn't do it for something like Onimusha. It would hurt it more than help it.
Unless it was a character built from the ground up, I could be more accepting of it. But if it's an old character, do not do it.
I would like something a lot more I would like something a lot more complex, and I would like to see them maybe implement systems that they had from Max Payne or Resident Evil 4, where it's like adaptive difficulty, where if you're doing poorly, then it's going to reflect on what's going on in the game. If you're doing really well, then the game ramps up the difficulty, and enemies are getting harder, enemies are coming at you, they're doing like more damage. I would love to see adaptive difficulty. I think that's a very interesting premise.
Not to piggyback off that, they should actually also have dynamic AI. I think Democrat 3 had it, and I think 4 had it, where if you like, Ray, I'm sure you know about this. You remember when DSP was shooting at Cerberus and he keep launching ice spikes at him? And
yeah.
yeah, that's an example of dynamic AI. If you're too melee happy, then he will play a little bit more defensive and start like performing like close-up attacks rather than range.
Yeah, and if you try to be like defensive, then the enemy gets a lot more aggressive that way, and he starts coming at you with like different attacks that could maybe like break your guard or something that'll stop you from moving around a lot. I would love to see like adaptive difficulty and dynamic AI just rolled into one nice little bundle, so it's just there for the casual fans to try to get better. And it's there for the veterans who, if they wanted that kick in the teeth, they can get an extra kick in the teeth because the game is just going to get harder by default.
Yeah, good way to get rid of the casuals.
to kind of go off of that, like something that I actually like about Metal Gear Solid 5 is that depending on the way that you play, it impacts the way that the AI treats you as the player. So like if you're getting a lot of headshots, they'll start wearing helmets and things of that nature. So maybe they can do something like, oh, well, if you're using the Ryzen, which is the lightning-based weapon, you're going to get enemy types that are maybe more resistant to that, or maybe that attack in like lightning-based attack patterns or something like that, I guess you can say.
Dom, you actually gave me an idea. They should return elemental damage to games today. Democrat 3 had it, all Mega Man games have it, and whatnot, because like they should have an enemy that So you still can damage them. Do not pull a DMC. You still can damage them whatever weapon you choose, but they take more damage for the alternative weapon. Like if they're weak to fire, wind, lightning, or whatever other element is in Onimusha.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
So this was a really interesting discussion. Like I said, I'd like to thank all you guys for coming on board. I'd like to thank you for giving me your time. I really love the Onimusha discussion. It makes me hopeful and optimistic to see what they have in store for us in the future. Hopefully something good. But I also gotta thank
game.
you gotta play it. You gotta play it, Brandon, damn it.
I give a lot of opinions for something I didn't play. That's a lot.
Can you emulate them? Because if you can, I would say go emulate them.
I will try. I gotta clean my computer out anyway, so.
Yeah, if you can emulate them, that would be good, because virtually I had no problems with them via emulation so far for the most part, and I emulated like 1 and 3 perfectly.
No, just quick question. Is the Onimusha 3 PC version have a gamepad? If so, I will go out of my way to actually play it. Just a little bit.
It does. It does have gamepad support, but you kind of have to jury rig it. So I think if you want to go through that extra mile of getting it to work, you can. But that's exactly what I had to do when I had to get it to work. Don't get me wrong. I mean, so far the game looks good on PC as expected, but to get that controller support to work, you have to go do some shit.
Oh, okay. Then I'll probably go emulation while that thing doesn't screw over.
Yeah, I think emulation would be best, and they did take Onimusha off Steam for some godforsaken reason, so you will have to like try to get one cracked like I did. That's how I got the controller to work a little bit better.
Oh, where you get yours from? Well, that should be safe after we finish talking.
Yeah, that should be saved after, because I kind of don't remember, but I can go and look through my files and see what I got. But this is the end of the discussion for the recording. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this. Very interesting. Again, next week we're going to have the Hellblade discussion, which, to the dismay of James, he's really going to hate it. I think everyone's going to hate it because it's Ninja Theory, and they're basically bringing us the worst hack and slash of all time from the looks of it. I don't like that camera. Oh, I just want to punch something, but I'm going to
Resident Evil 4 with a big knife.
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for next week. So, you guys take care. Peace out. And this is me and the Bio Devils podcast signing off. Have a good night.
See ya.
Later.